Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me as I present on Giener Life Sciences' oxygenated cell therapy platform. My name is Linda Tempelman. I'm the Chief Scientific Officer for Giener Life Sciences. Giener Life Sciences is a subsidiary of Giener. Giener is known as a world leader in oxygen and hydrogen generators, and we've been working in electrochemical technologies since 1974. We have made oxygen and hydrogen generators for nuclear submarines, space applications, and hydrogen for laboratory instrumentation. And in this area of expertise, recently we've sold a subsidiary of Giener, Giener ELX, to a publicly traded company, Plug Power, and we're very excited about the opportunity for the Giener energy electrolyzers to become part of the commercial realm by being sold through Plug Power. Giener Life Sciences, on the other hand, was established in about June of 2018 to focus on commercializing life science applications of oxygen and hydrogen generators, much smaller versions than in our other products. The first product we want to make is considered an FDA combination product, the oxygenated cell capsule platform with cells inside of it for cell therapy. Giener Life Sciences is also working in the medical device realm, working on oxygenation devices for wound healing and organ preservation. The purpose of my presentation today is because we're seeking strategic partners and investors in particular to develop the diabetes cell therapy application and other applications of interest. Giener Life Sciences, to give you a little bit more information, wants to partner with companies that have unique cellular products that need to be transplanted in the diabetes area and some other areas. We're interested in in-licensing cellular products if there's someone that has an unused asset that they'd like us to turn into a cell therapy. And Giener is working on some treatments that involve just the delivery of gases. On the right-hand side here, you see the first prototype of an ear wound oxygenation device. This sends oxygen into the ear where there's been a surgical wound to promote healing in the space. And that work has been funded at the phase 1 small business grant level by the National Institute of Deafness and Communication Disorders. So the overall status of the company is we have a license available to use our cell therapy in the diabetes space. We did develop this technology with a pharma partner that exited the diabetes space in May of 2020. So we're excited to be able to offer a license in that area. We are working on the technology for the cell therapy for diabetes using our NIH grant from NIDDK, and we're executing some in vitro and in vivo experiments to further demonstrate the technology. And our goal today is to look for partners in the diabetes space and to do a Series A fundraise. So let me tell you a little bit more about oxygenated cell therapies. For a long time, there's been a promise that macroencapsulated cells could be used for a cell therapy. And right now, there's been so much work on the stem cell biologics and less work on delivering the cells to the body. So in the case you have an allogeneic cell therapy from a cell line that's human-derived that you want to put into a human patient, you need alloprotection. So the typical macroencapsulation does have a membrane around the outside, and that membrane protects against the immune system. It keeps cells out and your cells in the capsule. In addition, there's a membrane that has a vascularizing property that lets blood vessels come right up to the edge, and when they come right up to the edge, they promote the exchange of the therapeutic product and, of course, the nutrients. So the other advantage of having a macroencapsulation for your cells is that you can retrieve them or replace them with only a minor surgical procedure. So all in all, macroencapsulation of cells could give an allogeneic cell therapy that doesn't require immunosuppression. The difficulty that's remained in this field is generally that oxygen is the rate-limiting nutrient in these capsules. So necrotic cores, dead tissue in the center of whatever geometry of capsule people have tried, whether it was a sheet or a disc or a tube, the dead cells are always in the middle, indicating the diffusion is not allowing oxygen to get to the center. Again, you've left the blood vessels out, so you've excluded blood vessels. They have to stay out so you don't have cells coming in, and this makes oxygen the rate-limiting nutrient. We've demonstrated this with an in vivo experiment that I'll show you in a minute, and we've also done diffusion reaction mathematical modeling to demonstrate this. So the solution is the Giner Life Sciences oxygenated cell capsule. So the macrocapsule properties are still here. There's an exchange of nutrients through the membrane. Insulin and other products can come out, and you're protecting the cells from cellular response. However, in this application, we have the oxygen diffuser in the middle. So our oxygen generator, which we'll show in a minute, puts a small amount of oxygen into the center of the capsule, and the cells that are at most risk of losing the oxygenation, the cells that are at most risk of losing the oxygen are closest now to the oxygen that we're supplying. So that's the best situation of all. So the enabler, what allows us to do this, is a miniature implantable oxygen generator produced by Giner Life Sciences. The current generation is shown down here. The item is a small disc. It's smaller than the size of a US dime. Most of it is encased in titanium, which is the industry standard for electronic devices. But you see in white, there's a small area where water can permeate. So basically an oxygen generator makes makes oxygen by splitting water into oxygen and hydrogen, and it needs power and water to do that. So we've demonstrated in a 90-day animal study that these devices implanted in the body of a small animal produce oxygen for 90 days. So there's nothing about implanting the device that restricts its ability to harvest body water. Our current version is smaller than the previous version, and we've done this under ISO 13485 manufacturing conditions, and we have these devices ready in quantities of 45 or 50, ready to go into other animal and benchtop studies. So finally, once you have the capsule and the oxygen generator, you need to package it into a system, and the system is shown here. So for example, you could unitize this into one long device, shown here about 1.3 inches by about 5 inches. The main part, of course, is the capsule that contains the cells. The oxygen is delivered by this oxygen generator, delivering with a tube oxygen to the center of the capsule, as we'd shown previously. And then, of course, there is a power requirement. So for this case, we have a rechargeable battery, an implantable version, and we have a charge energy transfer coil that's shown here. So basically, wirelessly, you recharge this subcutaneous implant through the skin. And this technology is already established and is already in use for devices such as neurostimulators. I should mention that you could repackage this concept to use other cell capsules and other cell types. So if there's a partner that has a cell capsule that's unique to them or cells that are unique to them, we could reconfigure this for that purpose. Our lead indication is type 1 diabetes, and here is an animal experiment conducted by us and an academic partner back in 2015. Basically, we took human cadaveric islets, put them into a diabetic nude rat, so the rat doesn't have an immune system, so we can put human islets into it, and the plus oxygen and the minus oxygen animals had the same number of cells in the same setup, just the oxygen was turned on or turned off. When the oxygen is turned on, shown here in red, there's good glucose control for the animal for the 30-day study. When there was no oxygen, we had no control of glucose whatsoever, and the animals were showing their highly diabetic state. After 30 days, we took the capsules out and did histological cross-staining on them, and you see that in the case of no oxygen, there's no cells seen stained here within the capsule. However, when you provided oxygen, we see evidence here in pink of 2 insulin-stained pancreatic islets. And pancreatic islets are about 150 microns in diameter, about 2,000 cells. So this shows the need for oxygen in the diabetes application. Now you might say, what else could we use this platform for? Well, anytime you have a biologic like insulin that's produced continuously or responsively by a human origin cell, this system could be good. It's an allogeneic cell therapy platform, particularly when you need a moderate or high dose of the chemical and you need a fairly large number of cells to deliver that. Of course, in all cases, people want the implant to have a small footprint, and because we can put multiple layers of cells inside this device, we're able to have a small footprint. And then, of course, the advantages would be you'd have a multi-year treatment with little to no maintenance. There's nothing to wear outside the body, and there's no risk of infection because there's no percutaneous tubes or lines. Giner Life Sciences has a patent family of 6 patent applications ongoing right now. 2 of those have issued in the US, and we have broad international filings. So we have patented both the oxygen generator, the cell capsule with special features for oxygenation, and the combination system of all of those. And we are a subsidiary of Giner Inc., and that company has a large amount of know-how and expertise in applied electrochemistry, and we have license to the know-how and the IP as needed. But the main patents belong to Giner Life Sciences. Let me introduce you to our business and product development team. So we are a small team, we are a startup company, and I'm the Chief Scientific Officer. Doug Lawrence is our CEO. Doug comes to us after being the CEO of several startup companies that had raised capital for their products. And prior to that, he was a medical device development expert at Becton Dickinson. Andy Belt is our president, and he also has executive roles at the parent company. Andy was very involved in starting the first diabetes license that we had for Giner Life Sciences when we spun out. And Andy, of course, worked hard on the spin out of Giner ELX to Plug Power, the public company. Our VP of Engineering is Simon Stone, who's worked at Giner for over 20 years, specifically in the area of electrochemical technologies. And so he's the leading expert on miniature oxygen generators. We've recently in 2019 expanded our board to include outside members. So we have Christopher D'Souza representing a venture capital fundraising mindset. Darlene Deptula Hicks is an experienced CFO for both public and private companies. Nan Giner represents the family interests of the company, and Andy Belt and myself are on the board as well. We've recently also expanded our scientific advisory board with Dr. Duguay being a surgeon and an expert in clinical trials and their management, and he was formerly a VP of Medical Affairs at Becton Dickinson. Barry Solomon has been in the cell therapy field for a long time, working originally at W.R. Grace and then Circe Medical. And Circe Medical was established to do liver and pancreas extracorporeal support services. So he's been in the field quite a while. And then, of course, we are looking to add an endocrinologist to our board and expect to do so in 2020. Finally, we do have a number of collaborators and partners that are world leaders in this space to partner with our small team of people. In summary, we're looking for partners and investors that either have cell lines or have technologies and interest in these areas. Of course, we're looking for islet and beta cell transplant in the diabetes space, but we're also looking for ideas and partners in other areas, such as delivering pain therapeutics under the skin subcutaneously, so there wouldn't be a need for the addictive oral opioids, for example. And when there's cases where there's a replacement therapy, someone is missing an enzyme or a hormone, you could replace that continuously under the skin. And Giner is working and is looking for partners for further applications of wound treatment and further applications of either oxygenation of an area of the body or a hydrogen anti-inflammatory treatment. So I look forward to fielding your questions through this new virtual format. And of course, if that's not working for you or I haven't answered you yet, please feel free to reach out directly to anyone on the team, and we'd be glad to talk to you further about our technology and our business areas. Thank you very much.